Zumwalt. Here. Garrell. Huffman. Here. Hughes.
Present.
Garcia.
Here.
Holloway is absent. Kellenberger.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, and we have the city report here coming up. Just of note, Alderperson Holloway had business plans and could not make it. He let us know, and the same for Alderperson Sisman. She had plans and let us know. They both said they wanted to be here but could not because of those prior arrangements. First, with the update, I want to give a shout out to the Litchfield Park District. If you're paying attention, they have a new concession stand out there and restrooms, most importantly for me. And that's been a long time coming, so I'm very happy that they got that accomplished and got that moving forward. If you haven't seen it, pop on out there by the community center. They're great, and that's going to be a great addition out there. Speaking of the Park District, they have an event coming up called Celebrate Walton Park. Walton Park is one of our greatest assets. It's beautiful out there. It's got a lot of history to it. They're going to go and share that history and have all kinds of events out. There'll be food trucks, there'll be music, there'll be a kickball tournament. That's going to be from 9 to 2 p.m. this Saturday, the 6th. So if you can come out there, please come out there. Let's support Walton Park. It's always a fun time to go out and visit Walton Park. Next here, I wanted to kind of talk about the big thing we're talking about today is why are we here today? Why are we talking about changing water and sewer rates? And this wasn't a snap decision. This all started before the boil order. If you all recall, roughly less than a year ago, we had a system-wide boil order. And we sat up here as a council and we told you, we're going to collect data, we're going to do a study, we're going to figure this out together. Well, we collected the data. They reported that last meeting. We divulged that for all the public to see, all the results, everything to ask, how we compare to other communities, and we dropped that for the public to review. Now, this is the meeting where we have to make a decision, a tough decision, going forward. And the fact of the matter is we're not alone. 80 to 100 years ago, all of Central Illinois decided, hey, running water and sewer systems are a great idea, and they installed them. Well, what happened is over the years, it's at the end of its useful life. We got to start investing. And the problem is, it costs a lot of money to replace all of that underground infrastructure. And we as a council need to create a long-term plan and fund our enterprise funds to have fresh water and sanitary sewers for our community. I am tired of these flash floods and sewage coming up. I mean, we can't help that. We need to upgrade and help our citizens as much as we can, but we have to do it in a phased out approach. So why are we here? We're here based on a data-driven approach, so hopefully we can address those infrastructure needs that the public has consistently said they want to see. We want consistent clean water, no more boil orders. We want better sewage systems. We don't want our basements flooding. I can't promise we're going to fix everything, but we're going to take a data-driven approach to create a long-term plan to get to where we need to be.
Mayor Fleming, may I interject? I had an opportunity, I know some of you guys have been out to the sewer plant. If you had a chance to go out, Mr. Shaw gave me a tour yesterday of the facilities, and there's a lot of significant need out there. I mean, the sewer has like anything else, the equipment has a lifespan on that. It's reaching the end of that lifespan. If you go out there, you can see the condition that things are in. I mean, if you have those questions, definitely, if he has opportunity, he'd be happy to show you kind of what they're working with. But some of the stuff there is, it's aged. And so you're exactly right, like we have to address this, because what we don't want to do is we could just kick the can down the road and go, hey, that's not our problem, let's let another council worry about that. But eventually you're going to have another situation like what we had with the boil order, only this time it's going to be potentially worse. It has to be remedied, and there's not a lot of ways to get that done without making sure that we have it properly funded. I just wanted to add that there's some real need there.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. And speaking of funding, no council wants to do this. The last time councils that I wasn't involved with raised rates for water was 2020. For sewer before that was 2023. The reason they haven't been raised is no council member. We're working class people too. A lot of, it affects us as well. We know it affects working class people. We know gas is $5. We know the situation you're in. We take that to heart, but the thing is, we gotta have a running water, we gotta have a good system, and we gotta have a plan.
And I would say too, I wanna add, I think that's something the public, I wish that they were really clear about, that this is probably the most middle-class council that has been in these seats in a long time. I mean, nobody here is, you know, rolling in the dough. And so these changes that we're making, they affect us too. We pay for water, we pay for these services. And so to think like, I know when we think about Washington and all the big things that happen in the big part of the country, we get this idea there's some kind of corruption or money's changing hands or special interest groups are influencing local politics, but they're not. We're your neighbors. And our basements flood too. And we pay these bills too. And we're not rolling in the dough. We're going to also feel the effects of these changes as well. What instead is we have a decision to go, do we take the easy way out? Or do we do something hard to try to fix this so 20 years down the road, Litchfield has working stuff? And I think that that's something people need to remember is that we're not coming at this from, this is not gonna affect us, we're just gonna reach deep in our pockets. No, it is gonna affect us, especially in the summer when my 2 girls are home and they take long showers. So, you know, the situation is like, these are things that affect all of us, and I think the public needs to realize that this is not Washington. We're your local neighbors. We live in the same neighborhood, we eat the same place as you do. We're not rolling in dough, we're not changing hands up here at City Hall. There's no greed or corruption or nonsense that I see on the internet. That's not what's happening here at all. This is a bunch of people who've been tasked with a job to fix something that needs to be fixed that's broken, and if we don't fix it, it's going to be worse.
I agree 100%. Anything else from the floor on this? All right, moving on to public participation. We have 2 signups. First, we have Mr. Joe Cohen.
Joe Cowan.
Cowan, sorry.
Is that over here?
And once you get right there, and she's gonna explain how it works for you.
Okay.
So you'll have 3 minutes from when you start.
Okay.
When you're down to 30 seconds, I'll let you know that. And then
Alright.
at the end of the 3 minutes, we will have to stop
All right.
any discussion. So
Appreciate
are
it.
you
Yeah.
ready and I'll get it started?
Let me get my breath because I talk fast. Anyway, yes. I'm ready. So,
Okay.
my name is Joe Cowan. I live at 43 Arrowhead Trail in Litchfield and have been there for about 5 years. I'm a retired water professional. Previous to retirement, I worked for the city of Boulder, Colorado as utilities maintenance manager. Before that, I was Moline's general manager of their water department. Before that, I was in Southern California, big water district, assistant operations superintendent, and then before that, a maintenance guy when I first got my foot in the door. But anyway, the situation that you guys are facing here is not uncommon, especially small systems. Small systems are really challenged around the country. It's probably the #1 thing that kills small towns is their infrastructure failing. And I would encourage you to raise the rates accordingly and probably start a water main replacement fund dedicated just to the main replacement. You know, figure out how much you got failing a year and go from there, you know. And I tell you, it is a challenging problem, raising rates for the public because there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of lack of knowledge for people. So I'd encourage you to do that too. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting, but get the word out about the value of water, you know. You get a gallon of water delivered to your house for what, a couple of tenths of a cent a gallon, you know? Compare that to the cost of a pack of cigarettes or a bottle of beer or something, you know? What a gas is or what gas has gone up, you know? And the other part of that is how much your daily operating costs increase because of what's going on in the economy, you know? Delivery costs of chemicals, the inability to get chemicals, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know, and how even wage increases affect daily operations and that kind of stuff, you know? So that's a bunch of stuff. Let me see what else here. I'd encourage you to raise the rates annually too, you know, just 2% or something like that. It's like not buying a car for 10 years. You go out there now and look at it, the truck's $100,000, you know, an old guy like me being retired, it's a shocker. Same thing with water rates, you know, if you don't do it, pretty often you can't keep up to it, and it's a hard pill to swallow for people. Let me see. I do have one negative thing I want to throw out there. Man, that water main replacement again, I don't know who did that project, who's in charge of that thing, but I saw a brand new water main laying on the top of the ground for weeks. For every kind of animal, whatever, to go in there and do whatever they do and stuff, and then throw it in the ground. You know, you're asking for a problem, and I've responded personally to waterborne disease outbreaks where people died and stuff, you know, boilers and things like that in Colorado, and it's nothing that you ever want to do or have to live with and that kind of stuff. The other thing related to that water main replacement, there's fire hydrants that are this far too high out of the ground. The brake flange is supposed to be down the ground. Drive around and look at that stuff. It's just wrong. So don't want you to own something that's all messed up, you know, or put people in a public health safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd be glad to help or talk to anybody about anything at any time moving forward and stuff too. I got nothing to do but mow grass and clean up after the horse.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank
for-
you.
Thank you for the insights. And next up, we have Mr. Cliff Ingram.
For those of you who don't know, I've become, interim case manager at Hearts United Fund. I told them they had to find somebody as soon as they could, so I can go back to being retired. But, anyway, just wanna read this. Whereas the city has officially notified customers of a new way to pay their water bill, the city has not officially notified its customers of a significant increase in their bill, nor has this increase been explained in such a way that customers know, or at least approximately know, what kind of increase in costs they can expect. And whereas the bill before you now, or the proposal before you, is a rather complex billing system, most customers probably cannot figure out what you will be asking them to pay. The city council hired a professional corporation that spent 8 months researching ways to increase the costs for the customers. Yet after that 8-month study, you're giving the customers less than 4 weeks notice to pay increasing amounts. Additionally, Ameren just raised their rates significantly the first of this month. And in response to Josh, as much as I appreciate, Josh, that you are middle class, and as I look around this room, just about everybody is middle class or higher. The vast majority of Litchfield is not middle class. According to one website that I looked at, 60 to 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and 37% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency from savings. And I would estimate that with the increase of water and the increase in utility electric costs, that's going to impact many of the people who can't already afford $400 emergency issue. That's going to affect that by about 20%. And additionally, the city has been negligent, no fault of yours, because most of you are new, but it has been negligent year upon year about accomplishing the proposals that the improvements that this proposal seeks to address. 3 years ago, this council increased utility or wastewater costs rather to accomplish many of the proposals that you're now making, and yet we see very little out of that race. And so I encourage the mayor and this council, first of all, to recognize that increase in costs will have an inordinate impact on the working poor of Litchfield, and that these increases in costs will drive some of our residents beyond their financial breaking point. Second, recognize that some of the costs of Ameren might be mitigated to reducing power usage, but again, to Josh's point, the water usage will have much less of an impact because of the cost of that. And so finally, I encourage this council
We're at
to
3
consider.
minutes, Cliff. I'm
Give me
sorry.
30 seconds. I encourage this council to ensure that residential customers do not see any water or wastewater increase in costs for several months. To give your customers, many of whom are living on the financial brink, time to adjust their finances to absorb these costs. Failure to do this is just gonna
We're past
impact
the 30 seconds,
Hearts
sorry.
United.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram, appreciate you. All right, so that was it for, public participation. We have no appointments, so we will move on to other business. So first, we will need a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from the May 21st, 2026 meeting. Can I get a motion to that effect, please? Alderperson Garcia, seconded by Alderperson Garrow. Any discussion or amendments to those minutes? Roll call, please.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Darrow.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Hughes.
Aye.
Garcia.
Motion carries. Next, we need a motion to approve the expenditure report and payroll report for the current period. Can I get a motion to that effect, please? Alderperson Huffman, can I get a second? Alderperson Kellenberger seconds. Any questions or comments about the expenditure and payroll report? Roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Garrow.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Hughes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to old business. The first item in old business, Alderperson Garcia, could you read that item, please?
I made a motion to approve an ordinance amending chapter 52 of the municipal code pertaining to water rates and charges.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second for discussion? A second from Alderperson Hughes. Roll call, please.
Oh,
No, sorry, discussion, sorry, skipping here, but before you go into this, let me kind of preface it with, Cliff, a lot of the stuff you said, resonated with me and with protecting, and the whole council, quite honestly, with protecting those that can't protect themselves, the lower echelon, the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, that need help already. And we spent a lot of time, you mentioned that the report was just solely based on, raising rates. It was truly, we wanted to compare ourselves to everyone else and see where we stood. And one thing I just wanted to address in your comments before we get into everything is you mentioned about the working class people. One thing, when we had that unexpected boil order, people that rely on for drinking water the most are I feel like when you're upper end, you got the filter you pay for, you might go and get bottled water. But one of the things that I think will hurt people the most with that boil order was having to buy bottled water for all that time. If you talk about price, that, and being on boil orders, that was a system-wide boil order. Unfortunately, what happens all the time, we have the data, breaks happen all the time, and blocks get shut off, and they gotta wait, and they gotta order water. So people are being financially impacted right now with their current rates, just in a different way. They have to go and buy water when we have to do that boil order and stuff like that. So I wanted to let you know, we do take that seriously, but people are paying the cost right now because we have to address that infrastructure. And speaking of, I went online, I talked to all the people, I said, what are you getting asked? We dropped this last week and we wanted everyone to see what was a part of this. And I kind of put together some common themes that I discovered online and with questions the Alder people were getting. So I want to read through kind of a question and answer and let our city administrator answer those questions, and then we'll kind of open the floor again for more discussion about the task at hand. So number one, a common question I've seen is, we are now being charged for stormwater. So how would you address that?
So, I have heard a lot of concerns the last couple of weeks that there is a stormwater charge being implemented. That stormwater charge has always been there and it is not changing. We are not increasing the stormwater charge at all. It is being left alone. That is already lumped into the sewer portion of your bill. It will continue to be a part of that. So there are absolutely no changes in regard to stormwater.
Gotcha, perfect. And then next, another question a lot of people say, well, use the general fund to fund water and sewer.
So the general fund is our main account that it pays for our basic services like police, fire, streets, administration, building and zoning. It is funded by sales tax and by property tax primarily. Water and sewer are called enterprise funds. It's state statute, which means it's state law that enterprise funds must be self-sufficient. That means that what the utility that we're selling, we need to charge adequately in order to, we need to make sure that we're recovering all costs of operating and maintaining that utility. If we don't, then we risk not receiving grants and loans from the state. We do not have enough of a general fund surplus to take that risk. We're about to invest $27 million altogether between our water and sewer, and it has to be done. So we have to make sure that we're complying with state statute in order to receive the loans that we need to be able to continue to provide water to our residents.
Perfect, thank you. Number 3 here, you need to cut expenses to fund this.
So this kind of ties back into the question before this. Cutting expenses anywhere except for the enterprise fund wouldn't be helpful in this instance. On that note, I will note that every dollar we're spending, we are looking at ways to control costs. That's our job, to make sure that we're spending taxpayer money effectively. So we are being responsible in all funds, but really the only funds we could cut from that could help with this are water and sewer. If we're cutting cost and we're, you know, not maintaining the system, we're delaying repairs, we're weakening our operations, we're just costing you more down the road. So unfortunately, that's not an answer that can help circumvent a rate increase.
And let me just chime in with you mentioned the water, the enterprise funds, water and sewer. So general fund is separated from your enterprise fund, all right? If you look at the last 3 or 4 years for water and sewer, water, we've consistently been the negative because we haven't raised rates. I think we're negative, roughly $1 million or so for this current fiscal year projected, all right? That's a huge deficit. So we'd have to do a lot of cutting, if that were the case. In terms of sewer, we've been getting by, all right, if you look at the budgets over the last 3 or 4 years. But this year, we've turned into the negative. And I will say, the reason we've been getting by is because we've been told by professionals, our sewer plant's at the end of its useful life. This is coming whether you like it or not. We have to upgrade the plant. So what did we do? We said, okay, we're gonna do a study. We spent a lot of time studying this behind the scenes. We said, we're gonna have to do this, like it or not. And to pay for that sewer plant, we had to do this. And speaking of that, I mean, they went by with that in mind, a minimal budget. Hey, keep everything running. We don't want to replace stuff if we're gonna replace the entire plant. So, you know, a microcosm was we basically said, hey, do the bare minimum to keep this plant around because we're gonna be replacing it in the near future. So I will say we've looked at this at length because one of our guiding principles is we don't want to hurt the little guy. We want to help them as much as possible. And I will say, sometimes the hard thing is the right thing. Actually, most of the time, the hard thing is the right thing in life. That's something to live by, the hard choice. And so I just wanted to let you guys know, look at those budgets. It's a data-driven approach. Those are facts. That's where we're at, okay?
And Mayor, I just wanted to comment too, and now I'm not gonna address you as mayor, I'm gonna address you as my friend. Jake, how many arguments have we had about this whole situation over the phone?
Quite a few.
Quite a few, right? Because we were all arguing about, hey, we don't wanna raise the rates, is there any way around this? We argued, we fought about it, we tried to find ways to do it, because we do care about the lower class, if you wanna put it that way, or those who aren't making as much money. And we can say that because I used to be one of those, right? And so I know what that's like to live hand to mouth. And so, yeah, we had a lot of arguments about this, but here's the reality. If we don't raise these rates, if we just go, hey, let's take it out of the general fund, we can do that. But then when we go to get a loan, what's gonna happen, Brianne?
Will very likely be denied because we're looking at IEPA low interest loans. And what the state does is they look and they make sure that you're in accordance with state statute. And if you're not, they likely will not be able to write you that loan. And that's coming from our engineers who have helped a lot of communities with this. They've seen this process.
And I mean, the cost of this sewer plant is going to be
23 million.
23
We
million.
don't have that in the general
Where are we
fund.
gonna get that in the general fund? Yeah.
No,
When we take federal loans out and stuff like that, don't they have a right to set the rate that we have to charge a certain percent every year to raise it to make it work?
Yeah, so some state and federal loans as part of the loan program will require, you know, you have to raise it by X percent. Most of them have a clause in there that says, while you're under this loan program, the funds must be self-sufficient. You have to charge enough to make it back, or else they can make the payment due in full and end the program.
I know, I've been in here quite a while, and I know quite a few years there, they never raised them at all.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's killing us right now. And people's gotta understand that, we've gotta get money in these funds to take care of stuff.
good point. Any further discussion on that item? All right, moving on. This is another question we hear. It's a great question. Wholesale customers need to pay their fair share. Non-Litchfield residents paying water rates need to pay their fair share. How would you respond to that, Brianne?
I think everyone at this table totally agrees with you. So we sell water to 8 water districts who then sell it to their customers. All of those water districts are under existing contracts. A lot of those are long-term contracts. So we will pass along any rate increase that we legally can under those contracts. If the council approves this tonight, then we'll be working with our legal team to examine those contracts one by one to determine what we can legally pass on to them, and we will do that. As these contracts come up, then we will be negotiating rates accordingly with them.
And we've already done that with 2 that have come up for renewal. We've already negotiated and raised the rates for the two that were presented to this council.
Yes.
We will do that with the other ones as they come due, but you can't break a contract.
Right, and we'd also like to bring out that we, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were kind of selling at a loss for a while, is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on that? All right, this is a big one. Do you even have a plan?
We do, and we, and we are, we're wanting to tie it all together. So, the $23 million expenditure for the sewer plant, that's a huge undertaking. We've had a team of engineers working on a plan to do just that. Same with the water plant. We have a plan there. The city, just a couple of years ago, instituted a 5-year capital improvement plan for all of our water, sewer, streets. It's something that we would like to make public facing. We wanna be able to roll those plans out. Part of what we're doing is we're recognizing the need for someone at a high level to hold all of this together. So we are looking at doing a public works director position that would really help facilitate making sure that we're staying in accordance with those plans and updating them as needed.
And can I just chime in on the Public Works Director, because there was some feedback today, as I was driving back, I saw a comment online with the Public Works Director, so, every time we have a project, especially with something underground, we look at the project and we give our best estimate of what it's gonna cost. We submit everything to engineers and we say, yep, this is what it's gonna cost. And what happens, too much, I should say, is we get into it, these things called change orders happen. And when we're talking, we have some on the agenda today that we're gonna talk about, we're not talking about pennies here, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars per change order. So having a public utility person full-time here will make all the difference in the world. And I think the public's right. You see, oh my gosh, there's a high salary. This is 6 figures, this is 100,000 or so. And you see that, and you think, oh, we're overpaying this person. All it takes is that person taking away 1 or 2 of those change orders, and they've paid for themselves. So I just wanna, and a lot of the council, I wanna say, Josh, you mentioned behind closed doors, the council listens to you guys and says, we don't wanna pay another high salary person, what's the point? Well, the point is we're saving money by paying for this position. We've had, a lot of people are passionate, we can't do this again. Well, we looked at the data. You're allowed to be passionate, you're allowed to be frustrated. I'm frustrated. But at the end of the day, you have to look at the numbers and make the right decision for Litchfield. We're all in this together. We've talked to this at length. I spent more time than I once spent talking to you guys and the public, a lot. These questions, I got these from the public. This isn't me making up these questions. It's a lot of questions and answers. So I know you're frustrated. I know there's a lot of hard decisions. I'm very passionate about this. This council's very passionate about this. And I think we're gonna make a good decision going forward. 10 years from now, I think we can look back in the mirror and say we're in a good place. Sorry.
Can I say this too? I wanted to mention, back when the last rain we had, and there was a lot of people whose basements again were flooded, and we all kind of fielded those calls. People were calling us, hey, what's going on? And I had a really great conversation with a citizen, a younger guy who he was here and he's been in and out of the community over the last couple years. But he's like, look, he said, my main concern is this: what is the long-term plan? Not the council saying we have a plan. That's not a plan. But like, does the community see that? And I talked to him, and I've talked to Brian, and I'm hoping that at some point in the future, once we get kind of things moving, we can sit down, have even like a Saturday, because I know some people can't make it on like a Wednesday night. They've got work schedules that don't cover that. And we talked about what that might look like to come together one time on a Saturday, and people come in and bring these things and say, here's the plan that we intend to address and how we're gonna get these sewers fixed over a period of 20 years. And he's like, I don't expect you guys to fix this overnight, but he goes, at the same time, if nothing's ever set in motion, then 20 years down the road, yeah, I'm gonna be mad at council then, because they've had the time to take care of this. And yeah, there's problems in the city that have existed long before any of us were on council. I remember someone had mentioned to me, hey, look at my situation, it's been like this for 40 years. And I said, I can see that. I said, this is a big problem. I just want to remind you, 40 years ago I was in first grade. So I mean, this has been a problem for a while. We've got to do this so it doesn't continue to be a problem over a period of time. So I think I wanted to just mention that, thinking about, do you even have a plan? Yes, we do, and we want to lay that out in front of the public in a clear way, so the public knows exactly how we intend to approach this problem and deal with it.
And I will note that all of these plans were provided to the people doing our rate study, and that's why they've designed the rates the way they have. They're incorporating our plans and our infrastructure needs into, what's in front of us.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it all comes down to data, and one thing I do wanna say is Dave Crouch, you're here, and you've been involved with this every day. Your normal work week, is it planned out exactly the way you think it's gonna be every week?
Oh,
What's your normal week like?
It changes every 2 minutes.
There's a pipe burst, you know, I tell you, hey Dave, I wanna do underground mapping, can we get 2 hours of mapping done this week? And you say, oh, this guy called off, we had 3 pipe bursts, you know, can we do any long-term planning? We're constantly responding to emergencies, let's face it.
Right, I mean, it's an everyday occurrence, something goes haywire. It's rare that I don't get 25 phone calls a day for something.
And like I say, you're doing a great job, but it's hard to do long-term planning when you're constantly putting a fire out in front of you. And that's where we're at right now with the old infrastructure we have. So having that public works coordinator will let us actually look at some data, get in the trenches, and do that long-term. But we are long-term planning, don't get me wrong, Brian, it's just, we can't throughout the year do it. It's a one-time a year hit it kind of thing. And really, long-term planning is a progressive thing you do throughout the year. And we are mapping our underground infrastructure slowly but surely, but we gotta get that map first to know what we have everywhere. There's times we get a pipe burst and there's a pipe from, at the lake a few years ago, I'll just speak to it. There was a pipe burst, I don't know how, they buried it 30 feet in the ground. And we couldn't.
32 feet in the ground.
How many feet?
32.
Yeah.
And the reason being, the water line was laid before the roads were put in for Arrowhead. So they followed the natural contour of the land. They come in and built these bottoms up and put culverts in, you know, to make it so the hills aren't as steep as they are, or they were. And they buried that pipe. They put all the dirt on top of that pipe to build their road, and that's how we ended up from a 4 or 5 foot water line to a 32 foot water line. We had a track over it, had him stretched out to the gills to even get down to it.
And how much money did we spend on that? You called in, it was all hands on deck. You know.
I mean, we fixed it pretty reasonable, but it should have never happened like that.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's no fault of yours. Once again, I'm giving the public works coordinator spiel there, and we are mapping our under director, yep. And then going forward on to the next, any further discussion on that? Sorry, I'm on a rant there. Item number 7, and we've already talked about this, so it should be quick. What about seniors and working class families?
So I'm gonna combine a couple of questions here on my answer. So making sure that we were being fair in our approach to this. Affordability, equity, those were at the forefront of what we gave the people doing our rate study. Traditionally, what we have done is, you look at a current budget year, and then you estimate the increase needed, and you do an across-the-board increase. So all utility customers, regardless of whether you're a one-person household or a large industrial user, would get, say, a 10% increase. This time, we hired a professional group and we totally restructured our rates. So that way, we were able to say, hey, we don't want the user using the minimum amount of water per month to bear the brunt of this. We were able to spread it out more evenly in accordance with how much water is used and the size of your meter, how much it's really taking us to serve you. So we did make sure that unfortunately, we looked at, can we do senior discounts? Can we do low income discounts? Unfortunately, there's case law saying that can be discriminatory. We had our legal team even look at it. So we said, you know what, we're gonna take as fair of an approach here as we can and restructure our rate system so that the end user, while everybody's gonna have some impact, they're facing the least impact. So we really did keep that in mind as we went about this.
And I was gonna add too, and I wanted to see if Mr. McKinley, you might be able to speak to this a little bit too, but I know I had mentioned kind of when we first had, because I think you and I first had a discussion maybe last fall, when it was on a soccer field, you called me and said, let's talk about what this might look like when it happens. And we did our normal dance where we argued with each other and then we shook hands, we were good. But one of the things we brought up to you was, what can we do, and is there a way to bring a senior discount, right? That was something that I brought up to you and I brought to the city. But there are some complications with doing that, and I wanted maybe Mike to kind of explain so people can understand why that's more difficult, and it's easier said than done, I guess, so.
It's difficult because these are, well, again, you're back to the same statutes that control this whole area, because these are enterprise funds. You don't ever wanna be seen as treating anybody more favorably than somebody else and vice versa, discriminating against somebody else. By putting people into classes, you're risking someone that isn't in that class bringing lawsuits against you, because what should be good for the goose should be good for the gander, okay? So we have to be very, very careful. There's some flexibility, with rates, some cases have shown that you can charge maybe a little bit more to, like, for instance, say a commercial user versus a residential user, but even there you gotta be really careful, because there's a factor test that will basically lay out, have you gone too far? Are you now penalizing the commercial user in order to basically subsidize the residential user? So that's a long way of answering a short question. You should not try to create classes within enterprise funds and treat them differently.
No, great point. And Brandy can vouch for this. I was very passionate about this.
Yes.
And with our study group, I was like, come on, we're helping seniors here, Ken. There's gotta be a way. And the study group said, no one does it around you. You're asking yourself to get sued. So I spent a lot of time trying everything I could to figure out, maybe we'd be the first one. And they said, no, that'd be a horrible idea. So just FYI, good point, Alderperson Hughes. Next up here, item number 8. This is a big misunderstanding a lot of people have. You collect enough from our property taxes to pay for this.
So, I think we touched on this a little bit. We do collect property taxes, right? Like, everybody knows it, everybody pays them. Those go into our general fund to fund basic city services like police, fire, building and zoning. They are totally separate from enterprise funds. So they're funding your other city services. Unfortunately, we don't get an extremely large cut of the property taxes that are being assessed here. They are not enough to fund enterprise funds and other city services.
I will say the city is a minor part of your property tax bill if you're incorporated. You can look at it, property tax bills, luckily for you, are coming out in the next few weeks, everybody. So when you get that property tax bill, take a look and look for City of Litchfield Incorporated and see what that portion is compared to everything else. Next up here, item number 9, Brandy already answered, so I just want to say it. It was basically, how is this fair? We already touched on that, so I'm not going to go over that again. Item number 10, this is another hot button topic. The previous $5 fee on our bill wasn't used appropriately.
$5 fee. I think I was asked to research this fee about a month into my position about 3 years ago. So the $5 fee is an ordinance that was passed. It's been nicknamed the meter fee. And I think that the public perception around it is that it was meant to fund meters and that it would only be in effect for a year. I pulled the ordinance that was passed. It was called the utility improvement fee. I can verify that it has gone to utility improvements, so it has not been inappropriately used. It was not designated as solely a meter fee when it was passed. It is split evenly each month between water and sewer, and then it is used for those utility improvements. We understand that there are a lot of concerns surrounding this, and we appreciate that, and we're trying to take a streamlined bill approach. So what we're doing is we are taking the $5 fee out. I do want to be very clear, it was not misused, but I think that it's stirred up a lot. So we felt like, hey, let's remove this. Let's have one streamlined structure. So you will not be seeing the $5 fee after this is passed. I do want to note that any of these changes would be implemented on the bill you receive August 1st, due August 10th. That's because the effective date will be today. So you're going to have another billing cycle come out. We bill 1 month behind. So on your August bill, you won't see the $5 fee.
I would like to comment on this because I've seen a few comments online, well, this is just a sleight of hand, the city's playing a fast one on us, or taking the $5 off, but then they're gonna up all of the charges on this. Okay, well, let me push back on that and say this, what if we just left the $5 on? We could have done that also.
I agree with that 100%. I will say, just overall, since I spent a lot of time in this, fielded a lot of questions, is the $5 fee in itself wasn't a bad thing. The thing that we don't know is I wasn't around when it was approved. There's all this he said, she said. It was only supposed to be temporary. You know, where's the money going? And I think where the city failed in that regard is the money was used appropriately. They just didn't showcase when the money was used. Hey, another sewer thing broke down. We should have taken pictures and let you know. Another water thing broke down. Should have taken pictures and let you know. Every piece of that money was used where it was supposed to be used. And one thing, segueing to where we're going, and this is happening in the near future, we are gonna get a public works worker here, director, okay? And part of that is they're gonna share that information consistently. We're gonna do a social media page just for our public works, showing the things they constantly do, so you can see the constant stuff, the stuff they're responding to, and hopefully instead of being responding going forward, you're gonna start seeing, hey, look, we tore up the road, did our sewer, and we did our water, all at the same time, instead of road, water, sewer, all right? Having a long-term plan is going to save us money. Sorry, it's just something I'm passionate about. Last but not least, item number 11, Brand, I'm gonna answer this one because another thing I'm very, very passionate about is people have said, city staff must have failed at their jobs. That is 100% not true. If you're paying attention, our staff is working constantly, overtime, showing up when they need to show up. The issue is not our staff, the issue is our aging infrastructure and needing to create a long-term plan. So I'm gonna nip that in the bud. Our staff has not been the issue. We have some of the best staff around, and I will stand by that, and I think our council will stand by that. So that's all I had. My question answered. Did you want to finish on anything, Brianna?
I'm just gonna double down on that. I think our street superintendent may be the busiest person in the city. I call him probably at least 12 times a day. I know he said he probably gets only 25. I'd say he probably gets more. Our public works team works very hard. They are responding to emergencies. They are doing exactly what they've been tasked with doing. And they're fully on board with, you know, helping support our long-term plans. So we're very grateful to have the crew that we do in place to help us reach our goals.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, yes, and, we also, Alderman Holloway, he had, before he knew that this would be on the agenda tonight, he's treating his staff to a trip. So he left a statement with Alderman Hughes to read.
Okay, let me read this. So this is from Alderman Holloway. Hello, Litchfield. I regret that I'm unable to attend this council meeting. As a business owner, I'm taking time to do something special for my employees. I hope you can forgive me. When this event was planned, I had no idea the magnitude of decision making that I would miss. However, I wanted to take this opportunity to express my support for the mayor for the proposed water rate increase. Over the last year, I've taken the opportunity after opportunity to put money back in your pocket through various tax legislation. Though I've been on the losing side of those votes, I tried and I had the discussion. No different than this issue. I've implored the administration and council to get data and do not rush a decision. I'm fully aware of the implications this may have on the public. The mayor and myself in the last election ran on a ticket that focused around fixing infrastructure problems. Nonetheless, this is a necessary step forward. While no rate increase is ever easy for citizens or businesses, it is our responsibility to ensure that our community's water system remains safe, reliable, and financially sustainable. Maintaining and improving critical infrastructure requires ongoing investment, and delaying necessary adjustments can lead to greater costs in the future. I appreciate the mayor's leadership in addressing these challenges and bringing forward a plan designed to protect the long-term interests of our community. After reviewing the information provided, I believe this rate increase is a necessary step to maintain the quality of service our citizens expect and deserve. I encourage continued transparency regarding how these funds will be used and a continued commitment to operating as efficiently as possible. Although I'm unable to be present this evening, I want the record to reflect my support for this measure and for the efforts being made to secure the future of our water infrastructure. Thank you, Ward 3 Alderman Bert Holloway.
Thank you for reading that. Any further discussion on the floor before we call this to a vote?
I would just like to say that we're trying. Some of this is not our fault. We ended up with some issues that were not of our making, and we're doing the best that we can do to be fair and fix them so that people who are in these seats 30 years from now don't have the same problems. So we're trying.
Thank you, well said. Anything else?
Got a point of order. I know I'm not supposed to speak, but you didn't address my question, which was not at all what, the plan. It was gonna
Yeah,
be.
we're not doing this, I'm sorry, sit down, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll take it up on Facebook then.
All right, anything else from the floor? Roll call, please.
Hughes,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Kellenberger,
Aye.
Zumwalt,
Aye.
Garrell,
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next, Alderperson Garcia, you're up again.
Make a motion to approve an ordinance amending chapter 51 of the municipal code pertaining to sewer rates and charges.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Alderperson Garcia. Can I get a second, please? Alderperson Zumwalt seconds. The floor is open for discussion. We talked about this at length. This kind of ties in with the other. Any further discussion about sewers specifically? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Huffman,
Aye.
Hughes,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Kellenberger, Zumwalt,
Aye.
Garrell.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item 3, Alderperson Garcia.
I make a motion to approve an ordinance repealing resolution 3-16, adopting utility improvement fee.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second from Alderperson Zumwalt. Any discussion about repealing the $5 fee? Roll call, please.
Garrell,
Aye.
Huffman,
Aye.
Hughes,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Kellenberger,
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh,
Moving,
and can I just wanna be clear one more time, so, we bill a month behind, these new rates will be in effect for any usage from today forward. So the change in your bills will occur, on the bills that are sent out, in August and are due August 10th. So that's the billing cycle that these rates will go into effect for.
great, thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Item number 1, Alderperson Garcia, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution approving a professional service agreement with Veolia Water North American Central LLC for the operations and maintenance of the water treatment facility.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second from Alderperson Huffman, and I will note the CEO is here. If there's any more questions, we talked about this last week. Brianne, do you have anything you want to add?
No, we were able to, meet with staff today, along with Veolia. I just wanna say that I appreciate everyone's cooperation and collaboration throughout the process. Veolia has been great to work with, and I anticipate a very smooth transition.
And I will say for the public, if you're unaware, Veolia currently runs our wastewater plant. We would maintain all of our infrastructure. They run the plant and staff the plant. This is a similar situation, but for our water treatment plant. Now, they will be running both of these entities.
This is for a 3-year contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Zumwalt,
Abstain.
Garrell,
Aye.
Huffman,
Aye.
Hughes,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 2, Alderperson Garcia, please.
I make a motion to approve a resolution declaring personal property of the city of Litchfield surplus and authorizing its sale and or disposal, specifically equipment used by the water treatment facility.
All right, we have a motion. Can I get a second, please? Second from Alderperson Garrell. Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Garcia,
Aye.
Garrell,
Aye.
Zumwalt,
Oh, I don't have to abstain, do I? Just, they're not. Yes.
Huffman,
Aye.
Kellenberger,
Aye.
Hughes.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry.
Sorry. Moving on to item number 3, Alderperson Garrell, please.
I make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the change order for a State Street reconstruction to Pittsburgh Plumbing for the amount not to exceed $111,672.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second, please? Second from Alderperson Hughes, and this is one of those change orders, Brianne, if you wanted to.
Yeah, can we
Highlight
discuss
that?
what happened here and like what that's gonna cost the city as opposed to maybe what it could have cost if we had done it differently?
Sure. So Petersburg Plumbing is replacing the water main, along State Street. As we all know, the road on State Street had in recent years been redone. What was not included in the scope of work, was the final asphalt finishing for that project. It was left out of the scope of work, so I do wanna be clear that, you know, we would have paid something, right, toward the final finishing, whether it was included originally or now. With change orders, you're not necessarily getting the bidding, so they can be a lot more costly because the contractor is squeezing that in. So this is for the final finishing of the road, like where you see all of the rock in the road. We were given a couple options since the road had been recently redone. We want it to be restored as best as we can and make it look cohesive. So we went with this option that we thought would best serve those needs. Dave, do you have anything?
They're basically gonna mill out that whole lane 15 to 17 feet and overlay it. In the original scope, they were just gonna patch all the trenches that they cut in place, which is a total train wreck. So this way, they're gonna come in and they're gonna mill it down, they're gonna pour 2 inches of high-strength concrete, and then they're gonna cap it with 2 inches of asphalt to bridge anything that might not be stable. So it's gonna be darker for a while, but in a year or so, you won't be able to tell them apart.
Well, a great point, and thank you for explaining that, Fran, because like I said, that change order is roughly $111,000, and we have a job posting right now. What was the pay range for that job posting that we have posted?
95 to 110,000.
So that one change order would pay, you know, if that's able to be prevented, the position pays for itself. So I just wanna kind of go over those numbers, because numbers don't lie, we're taking a data
And we
driven
would have
approach.
paid, you know, we would have paid extra if it were included in the original scope, but to have a fair bidding process and to make sure that we are getting the most bang for our buck, we wanna make sure that we have the most accurate scope we can to begin with.
I think it was left out just to see how much damage there was to be repaired.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
I don't wanna make it look public, there are gonna be change orders in the future, it doesn't matter who you are, there will be
Yes,
change orders, but
absolutely.
reducing them is the goal. I wanna set a fair expectation for this new person coming on, so. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Hughes. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Garrell.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderperson Carroll, please.
I make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the change order for Jackson Street reconstruction to rooters asphalt for the amount not to exceed $10,456.40.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second, please? Alderperson Garcia seconds. Any discussion about this change order? Roll call, please.
Hughes. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Garrell.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderperson Carroll.
I make a motion to approve the resolution maintaining maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code with the Illinois Department of Transportation.
All right, we have a motion. Can I get a second, please? Alderperson Garcia seconds. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Hughes.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Garrell.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Alderperson Carroll, one more, please.
I make a motion to accept the quote from Slits. That's Excavating Incorporated for the stamped concrete sidewalk patching along North State Street and the amount not to exceed $24,750.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second, please?
Sorry.
We have a second from Alderperson Zumwalt. Any further discussion on this? This was another change order, right, Brianne?
This is for the decorative stamping, right? What about the, like the handicap ramps that go, the ones that have the polka dots, are those?
None of those are affected.
None of those are affected,
No.
this is just a decorative.
Decorative and the natural concrete, there's
Okay, thank
sections
you.
of that.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
There's 32 patches on that road.
Okay, thanks.
And I did, in the packet, it said Kenny Construction, came in a little lower, they just couldn't get there. Some square footage was actually left out of that proposal, so theirs ended up coming in higher, so Steps was the lowest.
All right, thank you for the clarification. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Hughes. Garcia.
Aye.
Garrell.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderperson Hughes, would you mind reading Alderperson Holloway's motions again?
I make a motion to accept the bid from Victory Lane for the purchase of two 2026 Dodge Durango Pursuit all-wheel drive SUVs for an amount not to exceed $91,038.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second, please? Second from Alderperson Kellenberger. Any discussion on this item?
Yes, I had two questions. First question was this put out to bid? Like, did we check with other locations for this?
Yes, this,
Okay.
it was put out for formal bidding and we received 2 bids.
Okay, thank
This
you.
was the lowest.
And then, I know something that had been mentioned by the public, on the issue of, they thought that this was a fairly excessive amount between this and the next one themselves. Is there a reason why we went with such a high-end, high-end type of vehicle? Was there not a better or a cheaper option? What are your thoughts on that?
Hard to say.
In the world of police cars, this was not even a high-end one, to be honest with you. They've pretty well ceased making all sedans. So these Dodge Chargers that we have on the back lot back here, there's no such thing as a 2027 Dodge Charger as a police vehicle or a personal vehicle. They've just ceased making sedans. So the SUVs, pretty well all you got to choose from.
And this item was budgeted. We're not going over budget. It was part of our planned budget, correct?
Correct.
Gotcha.
I have a question, are these replacing old vehicles?
Well, not these two particular ones. They, well, yes and no. Vehicles have, I don't know what happened to them. So like we made the school resource officer full-time position. He needs a full-time vehicle. We made, we pulled our person out of the the drug task force, before I got here. That person will now need another car. So, Litchfield had a great policy of keeping the officers assigned to each car, which actually makes them last a very long time. And I'm just trying to continue that policy.
So these will replace, or will the new officers get an old one and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's, one of these cars is a K-9 car, and we're gonna be outfitting a new K-9 officer come around January or something like that. So, whatever officer's gonna be the next K-9 officer will get that car. The other one, I don't really have a process in place of who gets what, but as long as there's enough for each officer to have his own assigned squad car, that's my goal.
Giant rock, paper, scissors.
Perfect.
Paper, scissors.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
And is this, Dave, we talked about this, I just wanna talk about this now too, since we're talking about it. The process when we put out a vehicle for bid, because one thing this council was passionate about was trying to get as much stuff out local as possible, and Victory Lane is a local entity, and I'm glad it worked out in this case. But there was some system, do we use the system municipal system for bidding now?
Yeah, so Sourcewell and, state bidding are always options. It's very rare for a local dealership to have something ready to go, sitting on their lot, that would come in, at the same price as a state bid, so we do plan on using that. Any local dealer can become registered to participate in that process, so that they could, I think so, maybe, our attorney's questioning that.
Maybe.
It's not really totally accurate.
Okay.
So you'll see, the way Ford works is they have a couple of dealerships appointed across the state, usually in the upper part of the state. Morrow Brothers has the quote-unquote Ford state bid here in central and southern Illinois. So if you're buying, Ford products on the Ford state bid, Morrow Brothers, has sort of been the designated dealership that's been appointed to distribute those cars. Chrysler, like these Durangos that you're buying, they also have a government purchase program where they will sell their vehicles to government entities at a wholesale price that even the dealers can't get. So in both of those instances, there are, again, statutes, procurement statutes that allow you to buy from these sorts of government programs, directly from the dealerships. The Chrysler dealerships actually, all of them can sell these products at the Chrysler government price. But again, with Ford, Morrow Brothers is where you kinda have to go to get a Ford on the state price.
Gotcha, no, thanks for the clarification. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Hughes.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Garrel.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderperson Hughes, if you could.
I make a motion to accept a quote from Datatronics for upfitting of two 2026 Dodge Durango Pursuit vehicles for an amount not to exceed $29,181.98.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second, please? Alderperson Zumwalt seconds. Any discussion on the Durangos? Roll call, please.
Garrel.
Aye.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Hughes. Garcia.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we'll need a motion to enter into executive session as allowed under the Illinois Open Meetings Act as found in Chapter 5 of the Illinois Compiled Statutes, Section 120, to address these certain and restricted items. Mike, take it away.
Sure, discussion of minutes of meeting lawfully closed under this act, whether for purposes of approval by the body. We're also, that's, excuse me, 5 ILCS 120/22C21. And we're also going to, discuss the appointment, performance of, an employee or public official, 5 ILCS 120/22C, EdSec.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. We're also going to talk about, the discussion of litigation, 5 ILCS 120/22C EdSec as well.
I just want to know for the public that those weren't written down, so that's impressive that you have those memorized. Anyway, can I get a motion to that effect, please?
Make a motion.
First from Alderperson Garcia and a second from Alderperson Hughes. Roll call, please.
Zumwalt.
Aye.
Huffman.
Aye.
Kellenberger.
Aye.
Hughes. Garcia.
Aye.
Garrel.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are now in closed session, so if you're a member of the public, please make your way to